Amen. Hazaku Baruch. Good morning, everyone. Today I want to give a few minutes of the unbelievable power of Chanuka and certain Segulot. In the last year of Baba Sali's life, there's a person from America called Avram Mendelovich. He testified that Baba Sali said the following, that Chanuka is 1,000 times more than Purim. And he said the Menorah is in Shamayim, and he didn't really explain. Now, although if you look at the Sfarim HaKedoshim, Purim has an unbelievable Kedusha, Purim. Obviously, there are different dimensions, and Baba Sali was talking about a dimension that is very, very holy on Chanuka. So the question is, how do we access this dimension that we really gain the maximum benefit? So let's start with the Gemara, which is the Gemara is something that is the time and time proven again. Segula, Dav Chav Gimel Amud Bet. It says in the Gemara, Haragil bener havin lebanim talmidei chachamim. Somebody who is careful in the Nerot Chanuka has children that are talmidei chachamim. And the Meiri explains on that Gemara that if somebody shows a certain love and a chivuv mitzvah for the Nerot, that's what's going to bring him. Now, that's going to bring him children talmidei chachamim, not only for Chanuka, but also Nerot Shabbat. That means you're careful, the woman's careful, you know, even when you go away, you make sure that everything is arranged, and you're makpid on such a thing. And the reason is explained. There's a Rabbi Yoshiyahu Pinto in his Perush Ayin En Yaakov. He lived many hundreds of years ago, and he writes the following: that it's a midah keneged midah. If you showed that you're careful about lighting up the world because there was choshech in the world, and you are lighting up the world now, Hashem will give you things that light up the world, which is the children. When your children light up the world. Furthermore, there is an explanation of one of the great Mikubalim that was way before the Arizal. He was the son of the Ra'avad, the commentator on the Rambam. His name was Rav Yitzchak Sagi Nahor. That means he was the blind one. And he explains that Segulat Ner Chanuka is especially when somebody is careful in all the halachot. He says, what's the big deal? I can light wherever I want. But he lists 10 different details in the halachot. I'm not going to be able to expand on all of them, but what type of menorah, what type of vessel to use, that you should use a nice wick. He goes through different details that we do probably all of them. But he says if you're careful and you make sure you know where you're lighting and how you're lighting, that is already a very big segula. Now, because of this, it's proper for everyone to pray on it, that there should be atzlacha of his children in Torah and Yirat Shamayim at the time of Adlakat Nerot. And the Sefer Simchat Banim writes that it's an Et Ratzon, especially the first half hour. The Sefer Pele Yoetz in Aruch Ner writes that he was noeg to always say in L'Shem Yichud Kudsha Bekoach Sigulat Mizaner Chanukah Diskulanu Zareinu Mitzvah V'Torah Or. The Bnei Sachar, the holy Rebbe of Diminov, writes also that it's a time to be zochet to children talmidei chachamim, and he writes especially for those who don't have children. In order to have children, somebody prays on Chanukah, especially Zot Chanukah. And he writes in Ma'amare Chodesh Kislev Tevet, Ma'amar Bet Od Yud, that it's known that especially on the time of Zot Chanukah, because every single day is keneged another one of you Gimel Midot, and from Notzer to Nakeh, Notzer Chesed Larvim, Noseh Avon, Vavisha V'chata V'Nakeh, that's 8 days. All of those Midot, that's all Mazal. And children love Bezechutat al Yamilta ela bemazlat al Yamilta, the Gemara says, right? It's not talui in your zechut, it's talui in mazal, the children. And you have the 8 mazalot on Chanukah, and especially the highest mazal of V'nakeh, and therefore, says the Bnei Sachar, especially the Gematria of Rosh Hashanah, is Matityahu. And just like our mothers were nifkeded on Rosh Hashanah as well, therefore there's an opportunity to be nifkad with Zera Shel Kayama. Furthermore, the woman should help in fixing the Ner Chanuka, even though she's not lighting. If she helps put in the oil or fixing, that's also a segula. Rav Chaim Palaji writes this in Siman Chav Zayin Od Chav Hei, that a woman should try to fix a little bit the nerot, and in this way she's going to help b'miktzat lebanei Hashim Talmidei Chachamim. It's going to a little bit help that the children should meet Talmidei Chachamim. And furthermore, it's good to look at the nerot Chanukah, especially the first half hour, because there's or haganuz, there's a hidden light in these nerot Chanukah. You know, in Los Angeles, there was once the Rebbe Mirimnov, a very holy tzaddik that was in Los Angeles, and it was brought to him a baby that unfortunately, the baby was born premature, so they put him under a UV light, and because they forgot to bandage his eyes, and because of that, the baby was blinded. So they brought him to the Rebbe. Much the story happened in Los Angeles, and the Rebbe looks at lights Nerot Chanukah, looks at the baby. Nerot Chanukah looks at the baby. Back, forth. He started getting more light in his face than the Nerot Chanukah themselves. Eventually he said, he's going to start looking in his left eye. It's 20 minutes over again. I said, until he said he's going to see totally. Boy, till today. Apparently people know him, that he's totally perfect vision. So there's an organuz in Nerot Chanukah to look at the Nerot, especially for the first hour. The Sefer Imre Pinchas writes, Or הגנוז הדלקת החנוכה יש לכל אדם להישאר אצל נרות שלו אחר הדלקה חצי שעה. Everybody should try to be by their lights of Nerot Chanukah for a half hour to look at them. And the last segula that I'm going to leave you with is what's written by the Mizmor that we say after we light Nerot Chanukah. You should say Vinoam and the Mizmor Yoshev Beseter 7 times, if one is able to. Where do we get this from? There's a Sidur of Rav Shabtai in the name of the Ramban. Okay? It's written in the Sefer Segulot Yisrael Marechet Chet Ot Lametet that a person after Adlakat Nerot should say Vinoam 7 times, and he should say afterwards Yoshev Beseter Elyon. Okay? He doesn't say to say Yoshev Beseter Elyon necessarily 7 times. No, I'm sorry. He says Vinoam and then Yoshev Beseter Elyon 7 times. V'chen anu noagim. Yeah. He says to say the whole thing 7 times. Furthermore, he writes in the name of the Talmidim of the Maharam that you should say Vinoam at least 2 times, because that's Kiminyan Kohanim. Vinoam Kiminyan Kohanim, and then if you say it 7 times and then Orech Yamim 2 times, in that way when they went out to war, that's how they did it, the Chashmonaim, that's how you could do it. Said 2 times and then 7 times. And then the last thing is that the Sefer Kedushat Levi also writes the greatness of Vinoam, and Rav Chaim Palaji writes that it's misugal to remember things for all year round, and therefore this was how Moshe Rabbeinu blessed Am Yisrael with Vinoam after the finished Chanukah and Mizbeach, and this is why we are inaugurating the Chanukah during this time as well, and that's why it's misugal to say this. So Yiratzon Didi Sigulot should help us bring a lot of Yeshuot v'Nechamot, and Amen Ken Yiratzon.